All right, what is good, ladies and gentlemen, is the Master Viewer back again with another review, and tonight we are doing a review for Gravity Falls. It's like sort of a viewer recommendation. It was given to me by Emil G3, but technically this person asked if I could compare Gravity Falls with another show. I think it was called Twin Pines, or Twin Peaks, something like that, which I think is an inspiration for Gravity Falls. But I did some research on it, and I saw that apparently it is horror, so I didn't really I don't really want to get into anything that's really horror related because it's going to scare me too much, so I just decided against it. But I did review Gravity Falls, and I just finished it. I actually have a test in the morning at like 9 in the morning. It's currently like around 12, so I'm recording this like I was debating on whether like it was 11 o'clock, so I was debating on whether or not I should just finish it. And yeah, it's a rewatch for me. So I'm like doing this recording when I should be going to bed because it's fine. I'll go to bed like a bit after. If I go to bed before 1, then I'll still get a bit less than 8 hours of sleep, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I did rewatch Gravity Falls. This is probably at least my third or fourth rewatch of the show now. Just a bit of background for it. I think that this show is, first of all, this is my sister's favorite show. My sister, this is her favorite show of all time, and I will say that I also think it's I'll come off the bat and say it's a very positive show in my opinion as well. I do think it's a bit overrated. People say that this is like the best show on Disney Channel, like Disney XD, in that vein of shows. I would disagree. There are definitely, I'll say this is better than Phineas and Ferb, but in terms of, I would say this is like about mid-tier, mid-high tier in terms of like where it would rank in a Disney show ranking that I'll eventually probably do in the future. So I do think that there are definitely some Disney shows that I do think are better, but I would definitely say that this is definitely up there. Like this is a classic Disney banger. So let us just begin, starting out with the plot/mystery. So the plot/mystery aspects of the show are basically, it follows Dipper Pines and his sister Mabel Pines, where they go to Gravity Falls, Oregon on summer vacation, and basically the entire plot of the show. The first, there's an overarching plot, but basically each episode is just kind of them investigating the mysterious nature of this town, Gravity Falls, where there's all these like mysteries going on and all this like strange stuff that happens in the town. The overarching actual plot is that Dipper is like investigating. They're a great uncle that they call Grunkle Stan. He is trying to, over the course of the show, he is trying to collect all 3 journals from an author that, like, Dipper like gets all his guidance from the town from these journals. That is eventually, spoiler, it's eventually revealed that Grunkle Stan has a twin brother, Stanford, and so Uncle Ford, Grunkle Ford, that's what they call him. So he is revealed to be the author of the journals, and then this is like in the second season. And towards the end, it's basically there's the plot was basically Dipper wants to find out what's going on. Grunkle Stan wants to bring back his brother, and then once he does bring back his brother, the Ford basically says like, okay, we have to destroy the portal and stuff, and like when you opening the portal created this rift, and we have to make sure that the rift doesn't get we have to contain the rift. If the rift is not contained, then this evil demon Bill Cipher will end up taking over the world. In earlier seasons, Bill was introduced, made some deals with Dipper and Gideon, another character, at certain points. And so yeah, overall I'm going to give the plot/mystery aspects, I'm going to give it a 4 to 5. I would say I liked it. It's not some of my favorite ever, and with the nature of the show, there is just going to be some episodes that are just not as interesting as others, but overall I do like the concept of just Mabel and Dipper, these 2 twins that are just like going this like a strange town where weird stuff happens, a lot of crazy characters here, and I would say that I would give the plot a 4 to 5. I liked it. In terms of the characters, I'll do a character ranking after, not today because I do have to go. I like doing the reviews fresh after I finish watching them. The character rankings I don't really mind as much if I don't do it exactly the same day that I finish the product. It's fine if I let it like marinate. It's actually probably a bit better if I let the characters marinate a bit more, but I do like to get my fresh thoughts out for the review. So in terms of the characters, I think that Dipper and Mabel, they are good lead characters. I think that Grunkle Stan is very, very entertaining, I would say. Ford also, he is pretty good. I do like the sibling dynamic and like the parallels that they have with Dipper and Mabel, how it's like Dipper and Mabel, they get along well, while in contrast, Stan and Ford, they don't get along well, so I do like the parallels there. There is Wendy and Seuss, who are workers at the Mystery Shack. Dipper has a crush on Wendy, so they explore that a lot in the first season, and then they kind of like mostly wrap up that dynamic in the second season. Susie is also very entertaining, this worker in the Mystery Shack that has a lot of good comedic relief, I would say. There's other characters, Pacifica Northwest, she is a rich girl that's part of Gravity Falls. There is Candy and Grenda, I think her name was, the friends of Mabel. There are Robbie, some other teenagers that Dipper and Mabel hang out with sometimes. What's her name? McGucket? Yeah, Fiddleford and McGucket, something like that. Some cops in Gravity Falls. There's a bunch of characters. I'll get into them with the character ranking. Overall, I would give the characters, I would say, probably a I'll go like a 7.5. I'll say that they are very good characters, and yeah, like a lot of good ones, but there are just some that I don't care for as much, some side characters in there, but overall I would say very good characters. In terms of these settings, I think Gravity Falls is, I would probably say, a great setting, 8 out of 10. I do think it is like the actual, the town itself, it's like there's not really too many landmarks, I would say, in the actual town itself, but the actual nature of the town being like all shrouded in mystery and stuff, and like all this like crazy stuff that goes on, I would say works pretty well as a setting for a show. So I do think that like the context, like sometimes in shows, like the context of what's going on in the setting is a bit better than the actual setting itself. But yeah, so it's even so, it's a nice setting. It's like Oregon. I actually do have a friend that he lived in Oregon, so that is yeah, just a fun fact, I guess. But so I think the town of Oregon, it looks pretty good. It's like I guess it feels very Canadian, probably because it is on the border. Actually, it's not on the border of Canada. I'm pretty sure Oregon is like bordering Washington, which is bordering Canada, I'm pretty sure. Although it's been a while since I've learned geography, so not sure on that one. But yeah, I do like the pine tree aesthetic, the very much the I want to call it like a fall kind of summer. So I don't know how to describe it. Very Canadian. That's just how I would describe it. But yeah, it's great. I would say 8 out of 10 for the settings. In terms of the visuals, I do like this art style. I would say it's probably better in my opinion than Phineas and Ferb, which is it's actually probably the previous review that's out currently on the channel. So yeah, I would say that I do like this art style better. The proportions of the characters, first of all, just don't look as kind of weird with Phineas and Ferb, where it's like the different characters, like the shapes of their heads and stuff, just were kind of off-putting. Whereas in this show, the characters, it like feels like a much more I don't know, just the proportions are better, I would say, for the characters in this show. And the actual art style itself, it's a nice art style, very classic Disney. Like I think when you think Disney cartoons, it's like this is the type of art style you think of, like very prime Disney XD 2010s Disney art style. And I would say it is I'll go like a 7 out of 10. I'll say it's pretty good. Not one of my favorites, but definitely it works for the show. In terms of the comedy, I will give the comedy, there's a lot of good jokes. I would give it probably a 7.5 to an 8, honestly. There were like a lot of good jokes. I was laughing out loud. Again, Seuss, Grunkle, Stan, a lot of good jokes that come from them mainly, but even other characters, there's just a lot of good humor in this. I'm going to be a bit harsh. I'm just going to give the comedy a 7.5. I would say it was very good comedy, but yeah, just that. In terms of the worst thing, I would say that the worst thing was maybe just the fact that, once again, with this kind of show, especially like just when there's like the first season, when you get to like the second season, there's like there's a lot more like plot relevant stuff, I would say, but even in the first season, it's like a lot more filler stuff, which is fine. Like these shows, like they will usually, like pretty much every show that is on Disney, it's like the first season, when it gets to become plot related later on, you could say, here, Gravity Falls, Amphibia, The Owl House, all these, Star Wars, The Force of Evil, all these kind of shows, it's like the first few seasons are very much like filler seasons to introduce the characters, to get you to become familiar with this world and stuff. And so I don't mind it, but just the nature of that is that there's going to be just some episodes here and there that are not as entertaining as others. So I guess, is there anything? Yeah, I don't really have any of. I'm just going to say like the episodes that were just a bit not as entertaining, I would say I would give probably, although even I would even call there's not really too many like really bad episodes, honestly. I don't really think that I remember too many negative episodes. It's just there was probably some that I just didn't think were as good as others. But even so, like I think the worst episode was still probably like, I would say like even the worst episode was probably like above average, I would say at the very least. So not even above average, honestly. I don't even think there was like a lot of bad episodes. I'll go like a 6.5 for just any episode that was just not as good as, like the low points of just some of the filler episodes maybe. Otherwise, I could maybe just reuse the worst score, which was the visuals, which I gave a 7 out of 10 to. But I'll just do this because I feel like doing it. So in terms of the best thing, I will say the best thing, honestly, I really liked the ending and like the themes about like growing up and changing. I think like on rewatch, like the first time watching it, it did hit hard. Watching it now, and like just now, I finished it about like, I want to say 15-20 minutes ago. Like I felt some, I don't usually cry at like stuff, and I didn't cry in this case, but like sometimes I do feel like I get a bit emotional, I want to say, and like I feel the tears maybe swelling up a bit. So yeah, it's a very strong conclusion, definitely with the themes of growing up and changing, but still like even if time passes by, it's like you'll still always have like the connections of the people that you meet along the way. I think that is a very great message, I would say. So I think if I don't give it to I could give it to like the plot/mystery aspect, which I give a 4 to 5, or I could give it to the settings, which I gave an 8 out of 10, or I could give it to the themes. I'm not sure. I think the themes are just, the themes are like very good, I would say. The themes I would give like probably an 8 out of 10, maybe even an 8.5. I really like themes about like change and growing up and stuff. I think that those themes are very good, I would say. So, yeah, I don't know. I would say maybe, would I give it higher than 8 out of 10? If I would give the themes higher than 8 out of 10, then I guess I would give that the best score. I would say the themes of like growing up and changing and stuff, but still like being like having the connections of the people you meet along the way. I would say that theme is it great or amazing? I'm going to be a bit harsh. I'm just going to call it an 8. I'm going to give an 8 out of 10 for both the settings, the plot slash mystery, which I give a 4 to 5, which doubles to a 8 out of 10, and I'll say also the theme of growing up and changing and stuff. I'll give also an 8 out of 10. So yeah, that is all the scores. So I'm going to do the calculations. So King Crimson. So the score ends up coming out to exactly a 7.5, which would be very good. And I think I would probably give it like between a 7.5 to an 8. And I think I'm going to be harsh with it. I'm just going to give it a 7.5. I think that this is a very good show, but definitely I think that it's a bit overrated. This is not my favorite show of all time. Like in the case of my sister, I would say, yeah, it's definitely not my favorite show of all time, but I would still say it is a very good show. Definitely a step up from Phineas and Ferb. I think honestly one of the big this show, people say like it ended too quickly. It only had 2 seasons in total. I honestly don't really. I feel like it could have gone for more seasons, but then there's always like the question of how long a show should go on for, because you don't want it to go on for too long, because then it just like ends up like if it just goes on forever, then it dilutes the quality of like the show overall. So there is always the question of like when is the good time to stop the show. Alex Hirsch, the creator, he said he felt like stopping after just 2 seasons. It worked for him. It was he thought it was enough for the show's runtime in total. So I think that 2 seasons, I think it works. I don't really have a problem with it being 2 seasons. I think maybe if it did go on for a 3rd season, it probably would have worked, to be honest. But I do think that it's better like in the case of this where cut it off while it's like, actually I don't know, like I don't. Phineas and Ferb definitely feels like it goes on, like it's too many episodes, but I guess the show is a lot more like filler, whereas the show is meant to be more so just plot related, especially towards the end. So yeah, it is a question, a dilemma of like how long you keep a show going for, especially if it is like still like good, it's still good. Like once the show starts dipping in quality, then I guess you could end it. But yeah, anyway, that's a conversation for another time. I do have a test in about like 8 hours or something, so I do have to go to bed. So I'm going to so overall 7.5, very good, I would say. And yeah, once again, big shout out to Emil G3 for the recommendation. I know they didn't technically like it's sort of a recommendation. Like they did say like they wanted the comment. They said like they would definitely watch a Gravity Falls review. So I'm considering it a recommendation. I'm not going to watch the Twin Pines thing. Listen, it's horror. I don't really want to review anything horror related. If anyone has any other recommendations, any shows, movies, video game stories, anime, manga, web series, anything that you want me to review that is once again not horror related, or just anything that's like also like no Cocomelon kind of stuff, like nothing for like toddlers or anything like that, preferably. But yeah, just the big thing is no horror. Okay, like I'll review anything or compare anything, but just if it's horror, I'm like really I'm gonna most likely deny the request. I'm gonna say so. Yeah. Anyway, so. Yeah, that is I think before we end this off, I do think that we hit a new subscriber goal. I'm pretty sure I did not give a thank you for 92 subscribers. We are currently at 92 subscribers, new sub record. So big thank you to all of the commenters, recommenders, viewers, viewers, subscribers, anyone that is just interacting with the channel in any way, shape, or form. I greatly do appreciate it. So once again, big shout out big thank you for 92 subscribers. Yeah, you see it's getting late. I have to go to bed before. I need to get enough sleep for this test. So yeah, once again, big shout out to Emil G3, and we'll just do that for one more time. If you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, video game stories, anime, manga, web series, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments and I'll maybe possibly check it out. With that said, that is pretty much all there's to it, so let's leave it at that.